hear it different coming out. The book of Exodus, chapter number 2. If you have your Bible, join me at verse number 11. If you don't have it, it'll be right here on your screen. When Moses had grown up, he went out to visit his people, the Hebrews, and he saw how they were forced to do hard labor. He even saw an Egyptian kill a Hebrew, one of Moses' own people. Verse number 12. Moses looked around, and when he saw that no one was watching, he killed the Egyptian and hid his body in the sand. I want to read verse number 12 one more time. Moses looked around, and when he saw that no one was watching, he killed the Egyptian. Moses looked around. Moses looked around, scanned the environment, and when he saw that nobody was watching, he killed the Egyptian and hid his body in the sand. I want to put a tag on this text and teach from this topic. Where did that come from? You may have your seats. Blind spots. Where did that come from? Family, I want to begin this teaching with the principle that I call the principle of personal perception. The principle of personal perception suggests that my ability to walk in my godly purpose, power, and prosperity is partnered with my ability to objectively see me. Let me say that one more again. My ability to walk in my godly purpose, power, and prosperity is partnered with my ability to objectively see me. This principle is extremely important because it illuminates the idea that there are aspects of my character that are conspicuous to others but camouflaged to me. That there are aspects of my identity that may be obvious to others but obscure to me. That there are traits that may be covered from me but clear to other people. What I'm saying that it's possible for me to not see me. It's gonna get better. What I'm saying is that it's possible to be me and still not see me. Just because we live with ourselves does not mean that we see ourselves. Oh boy. And this principle of personal perception says, in no uncertain terms, that in order to walk into our purpose, power, and prosperity is going to require sight. Somebody say sight. And many of us, watch this, have eagle-eye vision when it comes to being able to quickly and keenly identify the issues, inconsistencies, and idiosyncratic tendencies of other people. Look at somebody say, whatever he just said. I don't even know. Many of us have eagle-eye vision when it comes to identifying the issues of others. However, when it comes to being accurately acquainted and to assess or maybe even to acknowledge the apparent ailments that we all carry, sometimes we develop a case of selective sight. Selective sight. What is selective sight? Selective sight is a real difficult definition. Watch this. Selective sight is when you see selectively. That's what it is. That's all it is. It's when their issues, when your own issues are glaring to other people, but they're gone to you. This principle of perception, stay with me, y'all. I got to lay foundation. This principle of perception is powerful. It's extremely powerful because it reminds us that walking in our purpose, walking in our power, and walking in prosperity is going to require proper sight. Somebody, one more again, say sight. Not proper eyesight, but proper insight. Eyesight is the ability to perceive externally. Insight is the ability to perceive internally. You can't live right without proper insight. Both are important. One has eternal implications. If your vision is impaired internally, your vision will be impaired towards eternity. If your vision is impaired internally, your vision will be impaired towards eternity. They go hand in hand. You've got to see God right in order to see yourself right. Okay. Let me say that one more time. You've got to see God right in order to see yourself right. Watch this. My argument as I lay foundation, y'all look good. My argument is that it is our poor insight that is stopping many of us from walking in our purpose, walking in our power, and walking in prosperity. It is our insight that's limiting us. It is our insight that's capping us. But what you did not know is that when you walked through those doors, you walked into the Lord's LASIK eye surgery environment. God is getting ready to do corrective surgery on your insight. Yeah. And after this, you're going to have 20/20 insight. You're going to be able to see yourself at the next level. You're going to be able to see yourself whole. You're going to be able to see yourself healed. You're going to be able to see yourself. As a matter of fact, if you can't see it yet, borrow my sight for this moment. I want to speak over you that you're blessed. I want to speak over you that you're favored. I want to speak over you that you're covered. Look at somebody and say, I see it on you. I see it on you. This is interesting. It's the principle of personal perception. What's interesting is, as I lay foundation for this blind spot series, what's interesting is that if the principle of personal perception is true, then that means the reverse can be true too. Then that means there's not only a principle of personal perception, that there may be a principle of personal deception. The principle of personal deception is at play when an individual's ignorance concerning their own sight places them under the illusion of improvement. I gotta go. I know it's heavy, but we gotta go somewhere. It's at play when an individual's ignorance concerning their own sight places them under the illusion of improvement. They think that they can see when they can't. Don't look at anybody, look straight forward, because you might be sitting next to them. Have you ever had a conversation with an individual and you're looking at them like, you really don't see you? Maybe, all right, maybe you know somebody that can quickly identify everything wrong with everybody, and you're looking at them like, you just don't. Just look at me. Don't look to the left. Just straight here. Just right here. Right? This is important because when we operate like that, we're operating under deception. Now watch this. This is important because I just preached the text. I preached the text. I'm really halfway done. I preached the text because in our text, in the book of Exodus, Moses, little context so that you can respect the content. This is a different kind of message. Watch this. Moses was born in a time where his people, the Israelites, were enslaved. They were the enslaved minority. They were increasing in population. And the Egyptian Pharaoh didn't like that because he was under the understanding that they would grow in number and then partner themselves with one of Pharaoh's enemies. Right? So he didn't like that. He figured that they would, if they grew to a certain amount of people, that they would join another company or another nation, and that they would try and overthrow him. So what he did was he sent out a decree. He sent a decree, and this decree was to kill all of the Hebrew boys. Y'all know this. He sent the decree to kill all of the Hebrew boys, and then once after hearing this decree, Moses' mother, Jochebed, this is what she does. She takes Moses and she wraps him up. And she puts him in a basket. I'm going somewhere. And she sends him down the Nile River. This is important. She sends him away down the Nile River. This is interesting. Moses, this Israelite boy, this Hebrew boy, has now been sent down the Nile, and he is found by Pharaoh's daughter. This is good. He's found by Pharaoh's daughter. His mother sent him away. He's found by Pharaoh's daughter. Now Moses is in the house of royalty. He's a boy from poverty being exposed to royalty. God will always show you a glimpse of what he wants to do to you. He'll always expose you to what he desires to do. So while Pharaoh's daughter found Moses, just a little context, this is important. Pharaoh's daughter found Moses. Pharaoh's daughter could not nurse Moses. So Pharaoh's daughter needed someone to come and nurse Moses. She goes and finds Moses' mother. Little context. She finds Moses' mother. Moses' mother is now brought to nurse Moses. She nurses Moses, and watch this, and when the time of nursing is over, Moses' mother has to now give him away again. Moses was a boy, and his mother was in a situation where she had to send him away. Moses gets his mother back into his life, and she's there with him again to nurse him. And then the time comes, and she has to send him away. Moses was dealing with the blind spot. He was dealing with the blind spot of abandonment. What does it feel like to have the person you love not be there for you? Well, what does it feel like to be raised or be reared in a house where the people around you don't look like you, don't think like you? What does it feel like to know, watch this, that you have a parent out there somewhere, but they're not with you? This one here is different. Moses has got to deal with abandonment. Mom, how you gonna send me away? How you gonna send me away? I'm your child. So now you got me with these people, and they don't really understand me. And they shouldn't. You should be here. Don't say anything, don't look at anybody. Have you ever felt like there was somebody that should have been there? They should have been there. Here Moses is, this boy being raised with grown man issues. Here Moses is dealing with the blind spot of abandonment. What do you do when you feel alone, you feel unaffirmed, and you feel the lack of affection? Moses is trying to figure out, what do I do with abandonment? He's struggling because he's trying to figure out who wants me. Who wants me? Who wants me? It's possible to feel rejected. Let me rephrase that. Some of us feel rejected. But I got good news for you. Their rejection is an indication of their sight, not your value. I'll say it again. Their rejection is an indication of their poor sight, not your value. And the reason that they could maintain the connection is because they didn't have the proper eyesight to see what it is that you offer. They don't see the value. That doesn't make you bad. That just makes them blind. I'm preaching better than y'all saying amen. It doesn't make you bad. It just makes them blind. They don't see the value that you have. And sometimes you've got to let people observe. Oh, God, I feel preaching here. You've got to let people observe your absence until they can honor your presence. You don't get to be with me now. You passed me off a long time ago. You don't get to call me whenever you want to call me. I'm not sitting by my phone waiting for you. Though your rejection was God telling me that there's something greater, and I wish I had. I preach anyway. I wish I had 15 people that can say the rejection was redirection and God's protection. Y'all ain't saying nothing in here. The rejection was redirection and God's protection. God, I thank you for blocking some stuff. God, I thank you for keeping. They rejected him. And Moses didn't understand why. So I'm just giving you context. So Moses finds himself in a situation where he has to acknowledge the fact that their abandonment is an indication of their poor sight and not his value. He was dealing with abandonment. He was not only dealing with abandonment, but maybe he was dealing with awkwardness. He was dealing with awkwardness because Moses was too Hebrew to be Egyptian and too Egyptian to be Hebrew. He was familiar with royalty, but he was from poverty. Moses lived with a sense of awkwardness because he never quite fit in. Maybe you can identify. Maybe you can identify with the fact that you never quite fit in. And regardless of what circle you find yourself frequenting, you never quite fit in there. And you don't fit in with those kids over there, those individuals in that clique over there. I don't fit in with this group of people. And God says the reason that you don't fit in is because I've called you to stand out. He says, He says the reason you don't fit in is because I've called you to stand out. There's something awkward about you. There's something, look at somebody and say, I'm different, I'm different. See, here's the issue. The issue is this. I feel like preaching it here. The issue is this. The issue is that you are calling it awkwardness, but God is calling it anointing. The reason that God says you're not awkward, you're anointed. The reason I made you different, I wired you different, I fashioned you different, I created you different, I developed you different, is because there's a different call that's on your life. And I wonder if there's any, I crept up on the preach. Is there anybody in here that can say, I'm different, I'm different, I'm different. I don't think the way I used to, I'm different. I don't behave the way I used to. Somebody shout, I'm different. That's all I'm trying to say, I'm different. I'm different. I got peculiar purpose. I got an uncommon calling. I got strange strength. Oh, I felt that. There's a few people in here that can say, God, for real, I got strange strength. I don't even know how I stay this strong. Because if the truth be told, I would have thrown in the towel a long time ago. But God, you're giving me strange. My neighbor would have been through some of the stuff I've been through, they probably would have quit a long time ago. So the reason that I shout hallelujah the way that I do, I'm sorry if I keep bumping you. I'm sorry if I keep stepping on your brand new Jordans. But God has been too good to me. He strengthened me when I've been weak. He healed me when I've been lonely. I'm different. That's all I'm trying to tell you. You're calling it awkward. God is calling it anointing. So he's dealing, I'm just giving you context. I ain't got to the text yet. He's dealing with this abandonment thing, and he's dealing with this awkward feeling, and he's also having to deal with his aspirations. His aspirations, because understanding where he's come from, he legitimately he desires to do something good. He desires to make something of himself. Coming from what he came from. I'm reading somebody's life story right now. Coming from what he came from. He wants to make something of himself. He does not want the sacrifices that people have made before him to go in vain. He has aspirations. He understands I'm here for a purpose. He desires to do so. Watch this, this is for somebody. His aspirations are so strong, watch this, that he'll even take it to the extreme if he's not careful. So he'll work himself to the bone if he's not careful. He'll forsake all types of friendships and relationships if he's not careful, because he got mean aspirations. In the text, Exodus chapter number 2, we see a picture of what that looks like. Watch what it says. Don't look at me. The text says, Exodus chapter 2, verse number 11 says this: when Moses had grown up, he went out to visit his people, the Hebrews, and saw how they were forced to do hard labor. He even saw an Egyptian kill a Hebrew, one of Moses' own people. Now, I want you to hear this through the lens of Moses. So when Moses saw the Egyptian killing the Hebrew, or the Israelite, watch what happens. He doesn't see that happening to somebody else. He sees that happening to his family that he never had. These are his people. He says, I can't do that. And watch this. This is, historians, scholars are calling this is almost a glimpse into the call that Moses is going to get later. That thing that he felt right then was the same thing that he was going to need chapters later, when he saw the Egyptian oppressing the Israelite. It's a picture of what God is getting ready to call him to go and be the deliverer of later. So when he stepped into that environment, something in him woke up. And he became something he did not know that he could be. There's no history of Moses going around killing people. There's no history of Moses being a great warrior in that regard. But when the situation calls for it, he had to be what he had to be because the situation calls for. I want to preach to a single mother in here. You know what it feels like to have to be what I have to be when the situation calls for it. Y'all ain't saying nothing. I want to preach to somebody that was raised without their father. You know how to be what you got to be when the situation calls for it. I'll figure it out. Here it is, and he's trying to figure out what's going on, because he sees this Hebrew killing this Egyptian killing this Hebrew. Moses springs into action. Moses is now an adult now. He is a full-grown adult. And here's Moses' response to seeing that happen. Exodus chapter number 2, verse number 12. The Good News Translation version says this: Moses looked all around, and when he saw that no one was watching, he killed the Egyptian. He killed the Egyptian. He said, ain't nobody gonna know this. You know, you get ready to do something wrong when you start looking like this. You up to something. Moses looked around, and he saw that nobody was going to see it. And he kills the Egyptian. I want to fast forward. Go with me, y'all. I want to fast forward because at a certain point, God taps Moses on the shoulder and tries to talk him into assuming the call to go talk to Pharaoh about letting his people go. Moses goes to talk to the same Pharaoh whose house he was in. Lord have mercy. He says, God is saying, Moses, go talk to Pharaoh, tell him let my people go. God is trying to give Moses corrective eye surgery. He says, go talk to Pharaoh. Moses said, but, I stutter. God is like, I didn't ask you that. I told you to go. He said, but the only thing is I stutter. I'm not good at talking. God said, you see your issue. God said, I see your calling. I need you to correct your sight. Lord have mercy. God is like, Moses, I see your future, you see your failure. I see you as a deliverer. All you see is your dysfunction. I see you. I see you, Moses. I see your destiny, and you're looking at your history. Moses, I need you to see yourself the way I see you. So God begins to give, I'm just giving you context, y'all. I'm going somewhere. God begins to give Moses proof that he's with him. He sends plagues. He sends plagues. He sends manna. He parts the Red Sea. Y'all know this. Pillar of cloud by day, fire by night, manna from heaven, protects them from war. Enemies will fall. Miracles shown. Moses spent time with God. Moses spent so much time with God, he came down from the mountain. His whole face was white. He didn't know what to do. Moses spent time with God, saw miracles, all of this. And then in Numbers chapter number 2, I'm going somewhere. Numbers chapter number 20. This is interesting. The same people that Moses was sacrificing for are now complaining. Moses, this is what they said. Moses, you should have left us. You brought us out here. We don't even got nothing to drink. They're like, Moses, I'm thirsty. I'm hungry. Moses, this is what they're saying. They're complaining to Moses. And Moses is like, I can't believe this. Y'all are complaining. Here they are complaining. These people that Moses has brought, has been used to do so many miracles in their lives, they are now complaining. Because toxic people have short memories. All they remember is, and you want to know whether or not a person is toxic or not, tell them no. Because when they can no longer benefit from you, you'll find out who the real them is. See, you don't know what friends you really have because you say yes too much. I'll preach anyway. You don't know what friends you have until you start saying, no, I can't make it. No, I won't be able to do it. And their no will reveal the entitlement. Your no will reveal their entitlement. Tweet that. X that, whatever it is now. Your no will reveal their entitlement. So Moses is like, I don't know what to do about this situation. So here's what he does. He does what any good Christian should do, right? He does what any Christian should do, right? So he goes, I'm skipping around back there, so y'all just roll with me. He goes and he goes into prayer. He goes into prayer. And he takes Aaron with him, so they land on their face in prayer. They like in prayer. Like some of y'all pray, but y'all, that prayer is when you land on your face. You can't even talk. The carpet is just right there. You're Lord, do something. You can't even. So here it is. They're in prayer. I'm going somewhere. Verse number 6, Numbers 20:6 says this. Then Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly they got from around the people to the entrance of the tent of meetings and fell on their face. And the glory of the Lord appeared to them. Verse number 7, and the Lord said to Moses, this is what the Lord said, you and Aaron must take the staff and assemble the entire community. As the people watch, speak to the rock over there, and it will pour out its water. You will provide enough water from the rock to satisfy the whole community and their livestock. Oh, can I read the Bible in church, y'all? Verse number 9 says this. So Moses did as he was told. He took the staff from the place where it was being kept before the Lord. Then he and Aaron summoned the people to come and gather at the rock. Listen what Moses said. Moses said, listen up. I just came out of prayer. Listen here, you rebels. Listen, so this is a side note. Imagine what Moses would have said if he didn't just come out of prayer. Look at somebody say, you better be glad I prayed, because I promise you, you better be glad I prayed, because something else was coming, but rebels actually made it out. Anybody glad that some other stuff made it out? Because you, listen, ooh. Rebel. You ever had to hold some stuff down? I'm just talking about, you. Jesus Christ. You ever substituted a word for Jesus? You want to say something else? You just had to say. Y'all ain't saved. Lord Jesus, y'all are not saved. Watch this. Moses said, I came down from prayer with a word from the Lord. Because it is in prayer where I get my peace. It is in prayer where I get my resolve, my calm. And he says, listen up, you rebels. Y'all getting on my last nerve. You make me sick. Y'all been sitting here complaining after all I've done for you. I ain't even signed up for this. Hear this through the lens of Moses' life. I gave you 20 minutes of context. Moses is saying, listen to me. I didn't sign up for this. I actually tried to talk God out of picking me. I told him how I'm not the one for this. I was not raised in an environment that conducive for leadership. I am not the first choice of anything. And here you are looking at all of my sacrifices, some you know and some you don't, and you got the nerve to be complaining? That's the picture of a child that's complaining about the sacrifices they don't even know about. You don't even know what it took for me to give you this house. And you're talking about why we don't have and you want with a who and a what? Moses says, listen here, you rebels. What do I have to do? Do I have to get water out of this rock, is what he says? What do you want, basically? Where do you want me to get water from? Do you see any water? He remembers, God said, speak to the rock. He said, speak to the rock. Okay, all right, speak to the rock. So now he's trying to hear what God is saying, but he's mad at them. And sometimes it's tough because you want to hear God, but then you got to deal with them. And it's like, I promise you, you better hope I continue to hear God. Because if he ever stops, I'm coming for you. Lord have mercy. It's quiet in here. I don't know what's going on. Y'all all right? Moses says, God says, speak to the rock. Moses raises his hand and he strikes the rock. I bet Aaron was like, whoa, bro, that ain't. He strikes the rock, then he raises his hand again. I said, well, this time he's going to speak to it because the first time he strikes the rock again. Exodus chapter number 2, Moses saw an Egyptian killing a Hebrew. He ran up to him and struck him. Numbers chapter 20, God is telling Moses to do something, but Moses is dealing with the people that's in front of him that's getting on his nerves, and he, instead of speaking to it, he strikes the rock. Moses is dealing with the blind spot of anger. 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 He got angry and he killed the Egyptian. He got angry. He struck the rock 40 years later. So it was 40 years from the moment he did that. He ran off to he went to Midian and became a shepherd. 40 years later, he moved on, but never healed from. Exodus 2:12 says this. He killed the Egyptian, and Exodus 2:12, he killed the Egyptian. Watch this. And the text says he hid him in the sand. He hid him in the sand. He hid him in the sand, But in Numbers, he's still dealing with it. It's possible for it to be hidden, but not healed. Just because it's hidden doesn't mean it's healed. Just because it's buried doesn't mean you're better. Maybe there's a blind spot. And you've learned how to drive without addressing them. But God says if you don't address it, you will never see the promise, Moses. He says because the text says, in Numbers, the text says that because you did not trust God, you will not lead these people into Canaan, the promise. Not because you have anger, but because you refuse to address it. You thought burying it was addressing it. Burying it is not addressing it, that's avoiding it. Moses, tell us the truth, Moses. Who are you really mad at? Is it the people that you're mad at, or is the truth you're mad at me? Oh, okay. Now we get into the root of the issue. The root of the issue is that maybe Moses wasn't just mad at the people. Maybe he had a little bit of resentment towards God. When you understand his life and how he had to deal with abandonment and how he had to grow up feeling awkward and how he wasn't able to go to his cousin's birthday parties. He wasn't able to hang out with his family. He doesn't know what the love of a mother feels like in his adulthood. Here Moses is, angry with God, angry with people, angry with Pharaoh, and angry with himself. What do you do when it's hidden but not healed? Maybe the blind spot that's stalling some of our progress is anger. Maybe you know what it feels like to have to try and maneuver through life upset. And if I'm honest, like Moses, I went and prayed about it. And when I came back, guess what, y'all? I was still mad. Moses went into prayer mad, came out mad. Maybe it's not just hurt. Maybe it's anger. But what's hard to voice, please hear me, it's a different type of series. What's hard to voice is, God, I'm mad at you. I can't believe you. I cannot believe you. It's hard to say sometimes. But God says, God says, I love you so much. I want you to keep it real with me. I want you to keep it a buck with me. I want you to tell me exactly how you feel so that I can heal it. You hid it, but I wasn't able to heal it. Will you reveal it so I can heal it? Because you got a blind spot. You don't see it. But the blind spot is the thing that you can't see that's affecting the thing that we can see. There are people that see your blind spots and they're trying to tell you. There are people that see your blind spots and are trying to tell you that that's there, and we're operating under deception. No, it ain't. That's just how I am. It's how I always been. It's just me. And God said, that's the problem. I want to heal you. 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 You hid it, but I want to heal it. You buried it, but I want to make you better. Would you stand to your feet? I need you to hear this. In this blind spot series, I want to, just because you buried it, that does not mean you beat it. Just because you're numb, that does not mean that it's healed. Just because you moved on, that does not mean that God fixed it. That means you're strong. That means you're resilient. That means you are persistent. That means God is empowering you. But God is like, when are we going to talk about this so that I can really heal you? When are we going to deal with this? When are we going to deal with the fact that, yes, you're grown and yes, you got your own family now. Yes, but you're still hurting because of what you never got in your own home. When are we going to deal with that? When are we going to deal with the fact that, yes, watch this. Yes, I feel you in here. Yes, they should have never touched you inappropriately. And I know you're killing the game and you grown and you're making your own money. You got your own life now. But if we're honest, it still hurts. God said, when are we going to deal with that? When are we going to deal with the daddy pain and mama's mess? When are we going to deal with the hurt that they did to you? They betrayed your trust. When are we going to deal with that? Are we just going to dance around this? God is saying, you're hiding it and I want to heal it. And some of us are too strong. Too strong. You're so strong that you don't understand God doesn't even require you to be strong. He requires you to be weak, broken. He says, I'm near those with a broken spirit and a contrite heart. Are you strong enough to be broken? So I want to deal with that. I want to deal with that. Yeah, I know you don't need anybody. I know. I got to stay here. I know you don't need anybody. And you can suck it up and get through it. You've been doing that. But tell the truth. Deep down, that little boy crying. I got to come for you. Deep down, I know, you'll be okay. But that little girl, she want her daddy. That little girl, she never quite fit in. She don't like that. She want to find her people. Every eye closed, every head bowed. So Moses saw himself strike the rock twice. Every head bowed, every eye closed. Moses saw himself strike the rock twice. And I can imagine him looking at himself saying, whoa, where did that come from? I thought I was over that. I thought I put that thing on the altar. I thought I was, and God's like, no, you weren't over. You just stopped dealing with it, but I wasn't done with it. And some of us, your behavior has been lying to you. You think that your behavior is who you are. But oftentimes, behavior is an indication of brokenness, not badness. The altar is open for every person. Oh, God. For every person that says, I hid it, I moved on, I buried it, I kept going because I'm strong like that. But I don't want to be strong no more. be strong no more. I don't want to be strong anymore. I want to be broken. I want to be weak. I want you to hold me up. I'm tired of pulling it together, putting on my best church face, my best work face. I'm broken and I'm tired. I don't want to be strong anymore. I don't want to be strong anymore. I want to cast my cares on you because you care for me. And God, I thank you for giving me the strength to be able to make it through. And I feel like that there's some things I could have gotten that I didn't get, but, oh, God. Woo. And I learned how to live without it. And God, you bless me. But just because I don't have it don't mean I don't want it. And if I'm honest, God, I love you. But sometimes I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair. Because I didn't do anything to deserve it. But now I got to live without it. Now I got to deal with not having something. And I didn't do anything to not have it. I mean, I didn't even do anything. I got to deal with it. When it happened to me, I got to deal with it. I got to deal with it. I got to deal with the brokenness. I got to deal with the brokenness that I've buried. I got to deal with the brokenness that I've buried.